Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. Today I have a very unexpected review for you. This is the new Transformers Robot Enhanced Design Optimus Prime. For anyone not in the know, the Robot Enhanced Design, or R.E.D, or R.E.D, however you want to say it, subline, is a line of non-transforming Transformers action figures. They are basically the Transformers equivalent of Marvel Legends. Or, maybe Star Wars Black Series. Yeah, they're meant to be, very screen accurate, have lots of poseability and, on-screen detail, lots of accessories. They don't do a Build-A-Figure, at least not yet, which I think is a huge missed opportunity. That could get you all kinds of awesome, obscure characters, just like the Marvel Legends line does. But who knows, maybe if it's successful, that might start happening. Now, the first wave of R.E.D consists of Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Soundwave, just getting their staple characters in there right off the bat. And while I find that particularly uninteresting, I was kind of hoping for something more obscure, like, I don't know, Pretenders, Action Masters, something like that. I can see why, from a marketing perspective, they'd want to start with your strong carriers, right? Your flagship carriers. That way it gets your more casual toy collectors interested. They'll be like, oh, Optimus Prime, yeah, that's that guy from my childhood. And they'll pick it up, and then they'll start buying more, maybe getting the greater Transformers brand. So I get it. I'm not enthused, but I see why they do it. There is a second wave coming that we already know about that had been on pre-order. That's Transformers Prime RC. It's like the blue motorcycle RC. And Cheetor from Beast Wars. Which, that one I find particularly redundant because Cheetor's about to get into a Toy Kingdom, but okay, I guess. So I do have those guys on pre-order. This one I happen to pick up from my local Walmart along with Megatron. Unfortunately, all the Soundwaves are already gone, so he seems like he's going to be the hard one to get because I have plenty of Optimus and Megatron. Now, normally, this is the part where I break down how I normally do reviews, but this is a bit different because this is a non-transforming action figure, right? So it's not going to have a vehicle mode to look at or transformation. It's just a toy. So I'm going to judge it as such. But it will partly be like my other reviews. We're going to take a look at the packaging, we'll open it up, we'll see if there's instructions. I don't know if there is. Probably don't really need instructions for this. Then we'll see the toy itself. I'll pose it around, talk about it, give my thoughts on that. And I will be doing some group shots with some actual transforming G1 Optimus Primes, just so you can see how he stacks up to those. And then at the end of the video, of course, I'll give my final thoughts. So this new R.E.D packaging is pretty reminiscent of the Marvel Legends line with a unique spin on it. You got the Transformers logo, your Robot Enhanced Design acronym up here. Really nice artwork of Optimus Prime with the colors kind of fading away, which is very reminiscent of the IDW hardcover comic collections. So it's a pretty neat look. You get the Transformers logo again, Optimus Prime, all that. You get a window here that shows off all of his accessories. So he's got 2 extra sets of hands. He has his Energon axe, his Ion Blaster, and his Matrix of Leadership. So he comes pretty well decked out. Everything you would expect from a G1 Optimus figure. He is colored up specifically to look like the Sunbow cartoon character model because, honestly, it's just the most recognizable form for people that saw Optimus in their childhood. And I will say, based on in-hand pictures I had seen of the toy, it looks a lot less cheap than I was expecting. All the pictures I saw, the plastic always looked like some really cheap, like bendy nylon-esque plastic, and this seems to be a little bit closer to what you see in the Marvel Legends line, so that's good. It is obviously done up in very flat colors because, it's based on the G1 cartoon, which is not my preferred aesthetic, so, I'm not a fan. Here on the back, you can see the renders for the toy, and this is what gave me the impression of it being, overly simplistic and kind of cheap looking. Luckily, the in-hand figure doesn't look quite that, soft. But you can see Optimus wielding his Ion Blaster. You can see the Matrix inside his chest. Here they show off the axe, his different fingers, the opening chest compartment for the Matrix. His head for some reason, and the Ion Blaster. So, despite it being just an action figure, the packaging does very much evoke a Transformers toy. So it feels kind of at home with actual Transformers. So overall, the packaging's pretty cool. I like it. All right, let's go ahead and open this guy up now and see what he's made of. All right, so there are no instructions or anything, so we're just going straight to the figure. And you can see I have him posed here with the default closed fist hands that he has attached in the box. And here you can see the matrix inside his chest. And you just get something to pry that open, fingernail, what have you. There you go. A little hard to open, not too bad. And you see the matrix in there. And it's painted very flat colors, which I guess is meant to evoke, the cartoon drawing appearance. Comes out, and, it's fully colored. Little bit of sloppiness on the paint there. You can see the orange kind of bleeding over a bit, but overall not too bad. Mine has this weird, you can see that weird brown mark on it that can't seem to get off. I don't know what's up with that. So yeah, and you can see his matrix chamber here. It's a little on the plain side, but it's okay. It serves its purpose, and it just kind of holds the matrix in there with friction. Close it up. Some people don't like the fact that you can see the matrix on the inside. I don't know if I dislike it, but I would say it's really not very cartoon accurate, right? You'd expect for a very cel-shaded looking Optimus to just have maybe painted blue windshields on the chest, but whatever. My copy here has a slight bend on this smokestack here on the right shoulder. Don't know how common that's going to be, but I'm sure I could get it to bend back if I messed with it a bit. Right now for poseability, head is on a ball joint, which gets a lot of poseability. Look way up, turn full 360, tilt, all that. Looks like this antenna is bent inward a little bit. Not too noticeable, but it's there. Shoulders, they have universal joint setup. They swing out, they rotate. The outward motion has a soft ratchet to it. He has the bicep swivel. He has single bend elbows, which is kind of surprising. I thought they'd go for the double bend, but oh well. Elbows are also ratcheted a bit. The fists move around as if they're on a swivel, or maybe even a ball joint. And there is a little hinge inside the wrist there, so you can get that movement too, so that's nice. And of course the fists, they come out, and I'll show you that in a second. It's a full 360 turn on the waist, which I guess let me show you the back of that. Nice clean back side, since he doesn't have to worry about any sort of kibble or anything, which is, kind of the whole point of this line. The hips, they swing out, but they only go about yay far, so you're not going to get too many really high kicks out of him. And of course they swing back and forth. Has a thigh swivel. He has a double knee bend with the one joint there, second bend there, so you can get some really deep bends with this guy. Really good for action poses, whoa, he's leaping. Straighten that out. And then you have standard ankle tilt and rocking. Rocking has a soft ratchet. The tilt just kind of swings side to side. You don't get a lot of clearance with the ankle tilt because of these little panels on the side. So that's about all you get, which is kind of disappointing. For a regular Transformer, I wouldn't care so much, but since this is supposed to be an action figure and it's supposed to be fully posable, I feel that in some places it's a bit lacking. I'm surprised they didn't do the double elbow bend or better ankle tilt, but it is what it is. I find the ratcheted joints to be an odd choice, for an action figure like this. It does grant some stability, but typically, the Marvel Legends toys, as far as I know, they don't tend to have ratcheted joints. If you're a Legends collector, let me know if I'm wrong, honestly. I'm not sure. I've only handled 2 or 3 of them. Anywho, I mentioned the detachable hands, so you can see the full loadout here. You got the Energon X. You get a pointing right hand, an open right hand, an open left hand, and then you get a hand that can wield his ion blaster. And I've gone ahead and just kind of put it in there already, so you can actually get the trigger finger inside the trigger guard there. And I'd recommend, honestly, just once you get in there, leave it in, because you do have to put a fair amount of force on the fingers of the hand to get in there. And I imagine with repeated play, you could actually end up breaking them. So there's really not much of a reason to ever take the gun out once you get in that hand, unless you want him to just have an empty trigger hand. I don't know. Though, I don't know, there might be accessories further down the line he might be able to wield too. We'll see. For now, I'm leaving it in. So, let's kind of show off his poses here. So you want him pointing heroically at something. This is the connection. I think it might be the same as the Marvel Legends ones. I'm not entirely sure. Let's do the, well, I always said pointing, right? Do pointing. So you can kind of get him in one of those, like, "Oh, Megatron, we will stop you." We can do that if we want to. Do that if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. Let's go with the 2 open hands. Give them more of a natural, relaxed look. Just kind of pop in like 2 clicks. So I gotta make sure it's pushed in all the way. I guess you could pull it out a little bit if you want to kind of cheat and get some more dynamic poses. All right, so you can get more of a relaxed look with the hands if you want to. Leave them open. That's a nice touch. All action figures have to have balled up fists, you know. Or, if you want to get super cool and dynamic, you go ahead and attach his axe weapon. Now the default for the axe weapon is obviously this hand right here, the right, though there's no reason you can't attach it to the left. I don't know if he's ever shown wielding it in his left hand, but it is something you can do. And then, lastly, the Ion Blaster. There you go. And luckily it doesn't wobble around a whole lot, which is always nice. And you can get some really nice poses out of this, you know. Work those knee bends a bit. Again, the ankle tilt's a little limited. May have an issue getting him to plant his feet, but here you go. Look at this. Whoa. That's heroic. You dig that? All right, here we have our new Optimus action figure with some of the more traditional transforming Optimus Primes, specifically the ones that are designed to be kind of a retro G1. So from left to right, you have the 35th anniversary cel-shaded Siege Optimus Prime. You have MP10 Optimus Prime, which was considered kind of the quintessential one for many years, and in my opinion, as far as MP goes, still is. I think MP44 is just kind of a huge mistake. Probably get some hate for that, but honestly, I'm not paying $450 for something that seems to break with like the slightest bit of play. And then over here, all the way on the right, you have Earthrise Optimus Prime, who definitely takes on much more of a G1 toy-based color scheme than the actual cartoon. So as far as comparing these, obviously, with me being a Transformers collector, I would prefer something that actually transformed. However, I think there is a really good market for this. You have a lot of people that get frustrated that they never get their perfect on-screen representation in a Transformers figure, and that's mainly due to the fact that the toys actually have to transform, and that the old animation really didn't lend itself to creating things that can really exist in a physical space in both forms. So this may be the perfect solution for those people that just want Optimus Prime as he appears on the screen, on the G1 cartoon. However, there are some kind of oddities when it comes to this figure. It's meant to be cartoon accurate. For the most part, it is. I think the color layout, it gets right. I think the shading is a little odd. You have some very bright looking colors, but then like the red right here is very dark. It's about the same shade as the Earthrise Prime, which is, much more toy-based than cartoon-based, which is really weird. Even the whites are very muted, almost gray, very dark blues. So he is still in some weird in-between when it comes to cartoon accuracy versus toy accuracy, which to me I think is a, kind of a loss, right? This was their chance to give the Sunbow cartoon fans exactly what they wanted. Honestly, I think the Siege Prime pulls off the colors better. He even gets the painted blue windows there. So I think, they kind of missed the mark. Despite the fact that the Siege toy has a lot of extra kibble from his alien design and transformation, he still feels more right as a, Sunbow Optimus Prime. Except maybe the painted, leg grills, but that's a minor nitpick. The Masterpiece, I think, is kind of the perfect blend of toy and cartoon accuracy. This was back in a time when Masterpiece toys kind of took the best of both worlds and, made them the best they can be instead of just slavish, over-engineered garbage. That's right. I really don't like modern Masterpiece. So to me, this is probably still the best Optimus Prime you're ever going to get. But I digress. And the Earthrise, he's just really cool because he was a real return to form for people wanting something like the 80s toy. He gets the Earth-based alt mode, he gets his trailer. It's a really nice looking robot mode that does take a lot of cues from the old design, especially the darker color palette. So as far as regular retail toys, he's probably my favorite Optimus. G1 Optimus anyway. But there is definitely a place for this new action figure. Now, you may have noticed he's quite a bit smaller than these guys. The standard scale for Optimus Primes nowadays is Voyager class, and this guy is much smaller. He's definitely within the realm of maybe a kind of tall deluxe. And because he doesn't require all the extra parts and engineering and all that, he's much lighter too. One thing I will say is that thankfully his plastics don't feel as cheap or, vinyl-like as I was originally led to believe. In fact, he does very much feel like he's made out of the same stuff that the Marvel Legends toys are, which, those are huge hits, so I think that's a win-win, right? You get a little bit of give, a little bit of flexibility in the plastic, but it doesn't feel like a cheap kiddie toy. This does feel like an action figure, and that's good. The poseability is fantastic, and he pulls off things that most Optimus Primes can't do, because, again, they have to transform. So I think there's very much a market for this guy, and he's very, very good if you just want an Optimus Prime that's very streamlined, has the right proportions, no extra kibble. Comes with the accessories you'd expect, right? The most iconic ones, the Matrix, the Ion Blaster, the Axe, so you can reenact all your favorite little cartoon scenes if you want to. And for $20, he's not too bad. A little on the small side, I think for 20 they could have made him bigger, and they could have, increased the scale of the whole line, but oh well. I will say I'm very disappointed they're not going the Build-A-Figure route. It's bad enough that they're releasing this non-transforming line and all we're getting are just like the same characters again in this first wave. I was really hoping for some deeper cuts here, and Wave 2 is kind of starting that, right? You get a Beast Wars character, you get a Transformers Prime character, so we'll see how far they go with it. Again, I want Action Masters. Non-Transformer characters, in fiction. Maybe Garnak, right? Something cool like that. Hey, why not the Quintesson Executioner, huh? Make him to where he scales well with your Pitted Judgment set? That'd be nice. Or, my opinion, let's do Build-A-Figures, and maybe the Build-A-Figure parts could be a Pretender shell. Think about that. That would lend itself very well, and then you can release the inner robots in the main Transformers line, and design the Pretender shells to where they just kind of shell over the robots in pieces. That would be amazing. And I think Hasbro should do that. I don't know if they ever will. They kind of gave us those little Prime Masters in Power of the Primes, and they're like, there you go, Pretenders, now shut up. Which, they're very disappointing. For both people that wanted Pretenders and people that wanted the Primes. Nobody was satisfied. So that would be amazing. If whatever toy line is coming down the road, maybe after Kingdom, they start releasing like nice, articulated, detailed inner robots of the Pretenders, and then release their shells as part of like a Build-A-Figure assortment for each wave of these, I'd be so on board. I would be buying these things up left and right. But time will tell. Back on topic, however. This Optimus Prime, if you want an Optimus action figure and you're a big fan of the cartoon, pick it up. It's fun. You can get all sorts of poses with it. He's very stable. I didn't encounter any like floppiness or looseness, no QC issues, nothing broke. Some slight bending on the softer, smaller bits, but that can always be remedied with some applied force and maybe some heat. Not too much heat, though. You don't want to melt it or singe it. He's got the Matrix, which is cool, and you can hold it in his little open hands if you want. So, yeah, I think this is starting to be a very promising line, and I hope it does well enough to where they invest more into it. We see future waves, we see deeper cuts with the characters. Again, let's get some Action Masters. Let's get R.E.D. We got Lionizer. He needs his partner. And hopefully maybe after this first assortment, this first few waves, they might get Froggy and do a Build-A-Figure, because I would just love it. God, we need Build-A-Figure Transformers. I mean, they started with Cyberverse, but, yeah. Old McAdam really didn't impress. He was really tiny, very hollow. We need something more akin to what they do for Marvel. I mean, they invest all this money in Marvel. I'd like to see, at least some of that same love shown to this new R.E.D. line. All right, so that's how I feel about this. Now I want to know what you all think. Are you excited for this new line of figures? Do you think this is a good way to get, certain show-accurate designs out there? Or are you fundamentally against it? You're like, no, Transformers transform, I hate it. Any and all opinions are always valid down in that comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Transformers Robot Enhanced Design Optimus Prime. And with all that said, I will see you next time.